Hello everyone and welcome back to the Scary Story channel. Tonight I have a tale for you that will make you think twice before renting an old, charming room with a suspiciously low price. It's a story that reminds us some doors are best left unopened. Our story begins with Alex, a university student desperate for a place to live near campus. The city was expensive, and options were few. After weeks of fruitless searching, Alex stumbled upon an ad online. It was for a room in a large Victorian-era house, just a 15-minute walk from the university. The rent was unbelievably cheap, almost too good to be true. The ad was sparse, with only one slightly blurry photo of a grand, albeit dusty hallway. Ignoring the little voice of caution in his head, Alex called the number. An elderly woman named Mrs. Gable answered. Her voice was thin and raspy, like dry leaves skittering across pavement. She agreed to show him the room that very afternoon. When Alex arrived, the house was even more imposing in person. It was a relic of another time, with peeling paint, a sagging porch, and windows that looked like vacant eyes. Still, the location and price were unbeatable. Mrs. Gable, a small woman shrouded in a heavy shawl despite the warm day, led him inside. The interior was dark and smelled of dust and something else, something faintly sweet, like wilting flowers. She led him up a creaking staircase to the second floor. At the end of a long, shadowy hall was a single, heavy oak door. "This is it," she rasped, pulling a large, ornate iron key from her pocket. The lock turned with a loud, grinding click. As the door swung open, Alex was surprised. The room was spacious and fully furnished with beautiful antique furniture. A four-poster bed, a carved wooden wardrobe, a writing desk, and a plush armchair by the window. It was dusty, sure, but it had character. "It was my son's room," Mrs. Gable said, her voice barely a whisper. "He went away a long time ago. There was only one peculiar rule." "The wardrobe," she said, pointing a bony finger towards the large wooden armoire in the corner. "You must never, under any circumstances, open it. Everything else in the room is yours to use, but that wardrobe must remain shut. Do you understand?" Alex, eager to secure the room, nodded quickly. It seemed like a strange request, but for that price he was willing to overlook a few quirks. He agreed to the terms, paid the first month's rent in cash, and moved in the next day. For the first week, everything was perfect. Alex cleaned the room and it felt cozy and comfortable. He was studying better than ever before in the quiet of the old house. But then, the night started to get strange. He would wake up in the middle of the night to a faint scratching sound. It seemed to be coming from inside the room, near the corner where the forbidden wardrobe stood. He'd turn on his lamp. The sound would stop, and he'd dismiss it as the old house settling or a mouse in the walls. A few nights later, he woke up not to a sound but to a feeling of being watched. He lay perfectly still, his eyes wide open in the dark, his heart pounding in his chest. The air felt heavy and cold. His gaze was drawn to the wardrobe. In the sliver of moonlight coming through the window, he thought he saw the wardrobe door move, just a fraction of an inch, as if someone on the other side had just peeked out. He squeezed his eyes shut, telling himself it was just his imagination, a trick of the shadows. The occurrences grew more frequent and more disturbing. He started hearing soft whispers when the house was completely silent, too faint to make out any words, but they seemed to slither into his thoughts. He'd leave a book on his desk and find it on the floor. His keys would go missing, only to reappear in an obvious place he'd already checked multiple times. The sweet, cloying smell of old flowers grew stronger, especially near the wardrobe. Sleep became a luxury he could no longer afford. Dark circles formed under his eyes and his grades began to slip. His curiosity about the wardrobe gnawed at him, transforming from a minor thought into an all-consuming obsession. What was inside? Why was it forbidden? He asked Mrs. Gable about her son, but she became agitated, her eyes clouding over. "He's gone," was all she would say before shuffling away. The mystery was driving him mad. He felt a constant pull towards the wardrobe, a magnetic force he struggled to resist. One night, after failing an important midterm, Alex returned to his room, defeated and exhausted. The scratching from the wardrobe was louder than ever, insistent, almost desperate. It was accompanied by a soft, mournful whisper that seemed to say his name. Alex. That was the final straw. His fear was replaced by a surge of frustration and determination. He had to know. He had to see what was inside. His hand trembled as he reached for the wardrobe handle. It wasn't locked. He took a deep breath and pulled the heavy door open. The smell of decay and wilting flowers hit him like a physical blow, making him gag. The inside of the wardrobe was deeper than it should have been, impossibly deep. It wasn't filled with clothes, but with scratches. The interior walls were covered from top to bottom, with frantic, deep gouges in the wood, as if a trapped animal had been trying to claw its way out for centuries. And at the very back, in the deepest, darkest corner of the wardrobe, two small, luminous points of light flickered to life. They looked like eyes. A voice, cold and ancient, echoed not from the wardrobe but directly inside his mind. Finally, you opened it. Alex stumbled back, his heart seizing in his chest. He slammed the wardrobe door shut, his mind screaming. He didn't pack. He didn't even grab his wallet or his phone. He fled. He ran out of the room, down the stairs, and out of the house, not daring to look back. He ran until his lungs burned and his legs gave out, never once stopping. He never returned to that house. He slept on a friend's couch for the rest of the semester, his mind forever scarred by what he had seen and heard. He often wonders what would have happened if he had just left the door closed. He still has nightmares about those 2 points of light and the voice that spoke directly to his soul. Sometimes late at night, when it's quiet, he thinks he can still smell the faint, sweet scent of dying flowers. And he knows, with chilling certainty, that something was let out that night and it's still looking for a new room. Thank you for listening to this scary story. Remember, curiosity can be a dangerous thing and some secrets are best left buried. If you enjoyed this tale, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more chilling stories, and ring the notification bell. Stay safe and always check the fine print. Until next time.